But there is something different about this Lamine Yamal and this type of a performance. There was confidence, there was flow, there was energy, there was arrogance. I love the arrogance.
I mean, what a day it was for Barcelona. This was an opportunity for them to take that result, to take top of the table. Still wasn't easy for them. They did have to make some of those substitutions, but a massive victory, you would say, in terms of the Liga title race, even early on.
Yeah, I think in general, when you look at this type of a performance from Barcelona, sometimes all that really matters is making sure you pick up 3 points, especially if it's not as easy as it looks like it is going to be on paper. Barcelona went out there with an interesting lineup. The 11 was obviously a little complicated at times, and finding chemistry sometimes in the games has not been easy for Barcelona in the early part of the campaign. But they are still scoring goals, and they're still finding ways to win football games. They went out with a really interesting lineup. Chesney started in goal, which is obviously as we would expect with recent injuries that they've had and picked up, but they do go with an average age of 27, which is slightly higher and older, but there's a couple of youngsters who are really impact players going out there as well. But we got to credit Real Sociedad. They went out there to play with a game plan of causing problems. They got the opening goal, which was a very good goal from Odriozola, and they deserved that goal. And they actually pushed for more. They were trying to score 2 or 3 goals in this game. But if you do that against Barcelona, eventually they'll find a way to win. That goal was coming from Jules Koundé, and I think the timing of the goal, Stefano, massively important. Just ahead of half-time, different team talk now. Now you're looking at trying to win the game instead of trying to get back into the game.
Yeah, clearly goals right before halftime are so massive, especially when it's only a 1-0 lead. You mentioned the young players that we saw on this lineup. Hansi Flick, I mean, this is a game where they have an opportunity to go top of the table. And he instilled confidence in these 2 young kids, Fernandez and Bargi, 17 and 19 years old in the lineup. It's pretty impressive, you say, for him to have the confidence to put this lineup out there when the team has an opportunity to go top of the table.
I think Hansi Flick is a mastermind of understanding what's also ahead and coming next for Barcelona. Let's not forget they've got Paris Saint-Germain in a big game in the Champions League coming up with massive points, so they have to be able to rotate in some way. Having those 2 players go out there is also an opportunity for those 2 players to stake a claim and become a fixture in the starting 11, which is not easy to do in Barcelona's team. They're immensely proud of bringing young players through, whether they're signings to the club or coming through La Masia. I think it's important to make sure that they recognise you'll get your chance if you perform well. And what Hansi Flick does incredibly well with these young players is he puts them in with experience, right? You're not just going up against an opponent that's a difficult opponent in a game that's a must-win game, as you pointed out right there, hoping. They're actually knowing, these youngsters going in there, that they're safe, they're surrounded by experience, and they're going to have a real opportunity of winning games and helping them out. It was a good performance. Listen, Pedri for me once again was man of the match. I thought he was outstanding. The impact from Rashford was very good. Once again, he got his assist in the game. You know, he's been directly involved in 5 goals in his last 5 games for Barcelona, with a couple of goals and now 3 assists to his name, which is really, really impressive. So I think they've managed to introduce these youngsters, and basically what they're trying to do, and Hansi Flick is a mastermind at this, is give that experience. That experience, Stefano, is like putting money in the bank to Barcelona. They may not be excellent on their first games. They may not be brilliant in their first seasons. But eventually you know that time will come and they'll be unbelievably good footballers. That happened obviously to Xavi Hernandez. Let's not forget that. He gave a lot of youngsters who are now permanent fixtures in this Barcelona team an opportunity to play. And look at them now. They're household names. Yeah, absolutely. Pedri, Gavi, all these younger players. It is impressive, the confidence that he instills in them. It really is. Because that will only help them going forward to get that type of experience. Speaking of young players, Lamine Yamal, the main man in this team, without a doubt, had missed so many games with injury. He comes in and within a minute has a goal involvement. I saw him play this match in that second half. We were watching it together, Ian. I would say that he seemed a bit different out there today. Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I mean, look at the statistics simply for the Golden Boy. 24 assists for FC Barcelona since last season across all competitions. You know, Mohamed Salah has assisted more goals. He's the only player to have assisted more. I know Rafinha's got the same with 24. But the Golden Boy, Lamine Yamal, did have some sort of a chip on his shoulder. Obviously, coming off the bench and having an impact in 40 seconds is outstanding. That's exactly what we want to see. Impact players from the bench, especially youngsters who have a point to prove. But there is something different about this Lamine Yamal and this type of a performance. There was confidence, there was flow, there was energy, there was arrogance. I love the arrogance. And I almost get the feeling and the sense that Lamine Yamal is obviously trying to help his Barcelona team compete to win trophies. They want to win multiple trophies this season because he is a winner. Let's not forget what he's already done at his teenage young years. But I got a feeling that the snub in the Ballon d'Or, the ignorance maybe from certain journalists, to maybe have forgotten about the talent that is Lamine Yamal is sitting right on his shoulder. And he's got a point to prove to everybody. He's going to play with more arrogance. He's going to play with more determination, that he wants to win not only trophies for his football team, he wants that Ballon d'Or. And I feel there's a selfishness there for him to actually go out there and prove this point. This performance proved it to me. This guy's the real deal. This guy wants all of those championships. And by the way, I want to be taken seriously for that Ballon d'Or next year. I have a feeling, I'm going to throw this out there, that he's going to be able to produce more stats, better stats than last year to be able to put him in better contention to win that Ballon d'Or next year. You just got to hope that there isn't those crazy stats from these top-class goal scorers that are sitting in front of him. However, he's probably the sexiest footballer out there right now. His style, the way he performs, the entertainment we are getting from Lamine Yamal, no one does it like him.
No, and he's so young. And he's so young at this point to be able to have that impact. And not just in the way that he gets goals, it's the way that he goes about his business, the way that he plays the game, and the frustration he shows when things don't go his way. We have to remember that he is playing with loads of veterans that have been playing the game before he was born, and he is still out there trying to lead them. He's still out there having reactions when they don't finish his assists, when they don't finish his balls in. I think that him not winning this Ballon d'Or, he can use that, whether that's fair or not, whether you think it's fair or not. I think he can use that as motivation to keep going forward. And I think the only winners here are us that get to watch it.
Oh, yeah.
Because if he's going in motivated that way, and if he's going in with that attitude of, I'm going to play my game and I'm going to try to mesmerize every defender and every journalist and every fan that's watching, the only one that's going to benefit are us to watch a brilliant and, like we've said before, a generational talent that is showing out week in and week out. I think it's going to be fantastic for us to be able to watch.
I don't think there's many players in world football that would be able to bring Ray Hudson back to work again, all right? But if there is one, it would probably be Lamine Yamal. If you look at his statistics last season, 18 goals, 21 assists across all competitions. And I have been asking for more because you know the talent's there, you know the skill's there. Now there's that chip on the shoulder and a point to be proved by the young Lamine Yamal. Watch this space. He's a contender already for me, and I wouldn't put it past him winning the next Ballon d'Or, especially if Spain win the World Cup.
Do you think that pressure is something that will bring the best out of him, or do you think that pressure could come back and bite him at some point?
Listen, I think what we are, obviously, even ourselves as journalists and players, former players, some players handle the pressure. And even in our world, let's look at the entertainment space. Some people, they get nervous when that red light goes on. They get a little bit uneasy. It doesn't make them feel comfortable. And then you've got us who love the red light. But this guy loves the spotlight. I mean, let's put it into perspective. This guy wants the attention. This guy wants the action. This guy wants the ball. When Lewandowski missed from 5 yards out and hit the crossbar and it sailed off, he's throwing his arms. He's angry. He's upset. And this is a guy who scored 700 goals in his career. And you've got a teenager throwing his hands in anger and frustration. Feed this into me. I love this attitude. I love this desire. But you've got to be able to back it up with your performance. And already from what I'm seeing, that snub might have just made this kid a little angrier and certainly made him maybe a little bit of a better footballer.
We talked about that moment with Lewandowski. He gets a huge miss late in the game, and Lamine has the reaction.
Yep.
Now, it seems like Lewandowski kind of wants to protect Lamine Yamal, wants to be there for him, big brother type. But is Lewandowski's talent, is his finishing ability, his quality in the final third, is it starting to fade just a little bit? And then maybe you're starting to see frustrations around other players. This is maybe a little harsh because he did score a goal today, but is it maybe the quality that we've used to seeing from Robert Lewandowski?
Listen, I have a man crush on Lewandowski. It's clearly been evident on our networks over the years. I love this man. I've had dinner with this man. I've met his wife. He's an unbelievable human being. And what he has done for football, and German football in particular, is quite outstanding. But also being able to perform the way he has done at Barcelona. 33 goals in his first year, 26 in his second, 42 last year. He's got 4 goals already this campaign. And I'm not the guy that's going to critique him heavily. But what I will say is at 37 years old, eventually, we all find our day where it comes where you're not as sharp, you're not as crisp, you're not as clean. I understand injuries come into play here, but age, you're not escaping it. At some point, he will slow down. And certainly a couple of opportunities I have witnessed this season already, and I know he's struggled with injury and consistency. but certainly a couple of opportunities I've seen this season. He hasn't looked like the old Lewandowski. And I think at some point Barcelona are going to have to look at the goals that he scored and find a way to replace that in some way. Because 42 goals last season, the only way to replace that is to spend over 100 million. They're not doing that. They can't do that, Barcelona. So they're going to need Lewandowski to really step up and be the player he was last season once again. If he's not, I'm sure they'll be looking for that replacement. But what he's done for the game will never be forgotten.
Absolutely. And, Father Time always wins, as we know. But I do think
Why are you looking at me like that?
Yeah, just one of us is older here on the set. That Barcelona side that we saw today will be taking on PSG on Wednesday. What a matchup. On Wednesday, 3 p.m. Eastern Time. All of the Champions League matches, of course, on Paramount+.